was ready to go live. Okay, looks like we're live. So here we go with our next of the McFarlane DC Multiverse action figures that I'm going to open. And this one is Robin, allegedly. So they did a weird thing in the movie Batman and Robin, which is that they took the character of Robin and they put him into his Nightwing costume. This is clearly Nightwing's costume, right? I mean, they tried to trick you by turning the bird red and putting a cape on it, but it's still Nightwing's costume. Now, I think the reason that they did this is that apparently what they were planning on doing in the next movie, had there been a next movie in this series, was they were going to have Dick Grayson transition from Robin into Nightwing. So they were going to go ahead and put him in a Nightwing outfit in this movie. I don't know. It's probably not the dumbest decision they made with Batman and Robin. But yeah, it's still kind of nonsensical. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, there shouldn't really be a gradual transition from Dick Grayson being Robin into his being Nightwing. He should just, one day he's just like, I'm not Robin anymore, I'm Nightwing, and wears a different outfit. Like, in the comic book, what happened was, he quit being Robin for a while and didn't know what he was going to do, and then eventually you had an issue where he was Nightwing. So there wasn't an issue where he was wearing like a red Nightwing outfit and still calling himself Robin. So, and then the weird thing is when they did the New 52, they put him into, they changed Nightwing's costume so that he had a red bird emblem on his outfit, and he looked like the movie. He looked like Batman and Robin. And I'm like, why would you want to make it look more like Batman and Robin? Nobody likes that movie. And in fact, everybody thinks that's the worst Batman movie. Or at least they did until Robert Pattinson's Batman. But yeah, here's the side of the box. We can see that it's got that cool box design that they made just for this. It's still pretty simple. Like, your typical McFarlane action figure box. But I do appreciate that they actually did put some effort in doing something a little different for this line and making it something a little more special. See, here's the Poison Ivy box. So I still have that sitting there. So we'll just have a stack of boxes there until I figure out what to do with them, whether I want to save them or not. And then on the back, you got the picture of Mr. Freeze again. I'm guessing since Mr. Freeze doesn't have his own trading card, so they just give you a big picture of Mr. Freeze on the back. It's too bad Mr. Freeze probably isn't going to get his own trading card. I don't know because I haven't opened them all up yet, but it doesn't seem like he would get his own trading card since he's the Build-A-Figure, right? All right, so there we got the tray out of here. And we can see that Robin actually comes with some accessories in that he's got these little bits that you put on him to show he's been frozen. So, and then the two arms for Mr. Freeze. And then let's go ahead and get out our figure stand. Every figure should come with a figure stand. And McFarlane's usually pretty good about that. Unless it's superpowers, they neglect them with superpowers. But for the most part, pretty good about having figure stands. And we can see that it's a matte black figure stand with a glossy DC emblem printed onto it. And then, of course, we have a trading card, which this is the image of Chris O'Donnell from the Batman and Robin movie poster. Now, they did have individual posters for the characters, and they could have used the art from the individual posters for the characters, but instead they used the art from the poster with all of them together. We can see a little bit of Alicia Silverstone's hair down here in this corner. So I'm not sure why they did that, but I'm guessing that the reason they did that was on the individual movie posters. I believe that Robin and Batgirl, at least, maybe Batman himself, but I don't recall offhand, I'll try to look into that and figure it out before I do the video on Batman. But I know at least Robin and Batgirl were wearing the ice costumes on their individual posters, so they would have had silver masks instead of black masks, and they probably wanted the characters to match what they looked like in terms of the action figures. So that's probably why they did that. So I'll set that aside for a moment while I put this back in here. I'm trying to keep everything a little organized and not make too much of a mess, since I've already got action figure packages all over the place. So here we go again. I do believe this is the same exact text that's on the Poison Ivy trading card. So they got kind of lazy with that. If it will focus at all. The only difference is in the names at the top. You know, where it says Robin, Batman and Robin, Poison Ivy, Batman and Robin, real name Dick Grayson, real name Pamela Isley. Other than that, the text is identical. So if you want to hear me read the Robin trading card, just go and watch my Poison Ivy video. Hey, it's my Aunt June. How you doing, Aunt June? Good to see you. Where's the thumbs up? It should be in the same spot it always is. Did they move it on you? I don't know. They like to change things up sometimes. It's one of the things that gets on my nerves about Facebook. So I'm going to try to cut this here. Nail clippers are on here somewhere, don't I? Maybe I can use my nail clipper. There's my nail clippers. I'll just try to snip those from the back. So, okay. Yeah, I got these from Amazon this week. I've been really excited about getting these figures. I've been looking forward to these for a while. Which is funny because when this movie came out, I wasn't too crazy about it. And, you know, I still think it's like not the best Batman movie, but I've grown to appreciate it for what it is. So there are the ice pieces. We got those out. And what it is a goofy comedy. But at the time, you know, it was it seemed like it was just the thing that killed the Batman movie franchise, and they had to reboot it in order to, you know, get it going again. In a way, it wound up being kind of one of the more important Batman movies because it was what led to the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, and of course those were very highly regarded and beloved films, and they would not have happened if not for Batman and Robin. So, in a way, it wound up being a good thing, didn't it? Maybe the next person who makes a Batman movie after these Robert Pattinson ones will think that those are shitty movies and actually make a good version. I can always drink. You found it? Okay, good. I'm glad you're doing well. Oh, there's one more of these things. You know, opening up G.I. Joe action figures recently and not having to deal with the rubber tabs, that's been wonderful. I like not having to deal with the rubber tabs. So there we got Robin out of his package, allegedly Robin. And then we've got two more things to get out of this package. I'm just going to see if I can just pull those out and break the rubber tabs. I don't really care about the rubber tabs, so I can go ahead and break them. So there we have Mr. Freeze's arms. There we go. All right. And as I noted on the Poison Ivy video, I am opening these in a different order than what's recommended, because they have said to open the Batgirl figure first they have that one labeled as number 1, then Poison Ivy labeled as number 2, and then Robin labeled as number 3, and then Batman labeled as number 4. Had to temporarily close live chat to find it. Oh yeah, it does that sometimes on. Are you in your phone? If you're on your phone, that's probably why. So yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah, that's how that works for me sometimes too. Whenever I have a live chat, I have to close it whenever I'm watching a live stream. But yeah, so again, to reiterate this from the Poison Ivy video, I decided to open that one first because that one's got the torso attached to it, and then I decided to open this one next because it's got the arms attached to it, which made sense to me because Batgirl is the one with the gun, and obviously he can't hold his gun without hands, and his hands are attached to his arms. So I want to have the arms attached to the torso when I open that one up. So then I'm just going to have a legless Mr. Freeze tomorrow. So let's go ahead and pop his arms on. I want to make sure that I get the right one in the right socket and the left one in the left socket. And be really careful when you do this because, again, these butterfly joints are loose pieces. So you don't want to drop those while you're trying to pop it in. And here we have Mr. Freeze is starting to come together. There we go. So we'll go ahead and set that aside for now. So we'll do more with that tomorrow when I open Batgirl. So we'll go ahead and put this back. I don't know why I closed that because I know I have to put this back in here. Dopey knee. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, everything's back together. And put that in my stack of Batman and Robin boxes until I figure out what I'm going to do with those, whether I'm going to keep them or throw them away. And let's have a look at this action figure. So something that surprises me while I'm looking at it is it looks like that when they assembled this figure, this hair is actually a separate piece. And I'm used to seeing that on figures where, you know, obviously it's longer hair, like Poison Ivy's hair is a separate piece, and that didn't surprise me at all. But his hair is just so short. He's basically got like a buzz cut, and they decided to do that as a separate piece. And usually you don't see that with hair that's so short, so that's unusual. It does look a little longish in the back, though, like almost kind of like a mullet, but not quite long enough to be a mullet. And of course, this is a costume that isn't really designed with the butterfly joints in mind. So depending on how you have his arms posed, those butterfly joints are going to look awfully weird because, you know, the butterfly joints kind of have to be one solid color. Because as I pointed out when I was talking about putting Mr. Freeze together, is the butterfly joints aren't like really something that's actually like attached solidly to the figure so much as it's a loose piece that kind of floats around in between the chest and the arm, like right where the shoulder is. So if we get it posed just right, we can get it to look pretty good. But if it's not posed just right, it's going to look kind of weird. See, like here, I think I got it posed just about right. Here it's a little bit off. So you see there's like a little bit of black where there shouldn't be some. Here it looks almost a little more seamless. But yeah, Nightwing has been pretty tricky as far as McFarlane trying to get the figure trying to get the butterfly joints to work. So you wind up either with this part being black and just matching with the chest and interrupting the bird emblem on the Nightwing suit, or you make it the color that you made the bird emblem, and then it kind of interrupts the black in some spaces. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. But if you don't mind it too much, you know, like if you just kind of like just kind of accept it is just, oh well, that's just how that's gonna work. Then they could try to paint it, but then, you know, like I said, you're gonna try to move it around anyway, and then like it can wind up being in the wrong spot regardless. So I think making it one solid color that's probably the best practical solution as far as that goes. A lot of his joints are really stiff, I'm finding. So let's talk a little bit about his articulation. So Robin can look up about that far. He can look down about that far. So he does have the cool McFarlane torso articulation, so we can pose this torso any which way. Arms rotate all the way around, of course. Like that. And they can move up about that far. That's about the kind of movement you get about that. So, yeah, decent amount, decent range of motion that way. And then we do have the double jointed elbows with a very impressive range of motion. He's got the bat fins. You see the bat fins? They're nice and pointy. So, no regard for small children as far as that goes. This figure is an adult collectible, so we don't have to worry about that sort of thing. And in fact, let's see what it's ages 12 and up. So if you're 11 or under, don't touch this action figure. It can be harmful to you. So there we go. And as I noted, he does have the butterfly joints, and that gives us a good range of motion as far as back and forth like that. So that's cool. And then he's got the ball jointed wrists, the typical of McFarlane figures. They rotate all the way around, and you can move them any which way because of how that ball joint works. It's pretty impressive, and they do kind of hide the joint fairly well with the detailing of the glove, the kind of ribbed texture that there is at the wrists. So a lot of good detail to this. Very accurate, I think, to Robin's costume in the movie. And in fact, you can see that he does indeed have the infamous bat nipples. So most action figures that are made based on these Joel Schumacher movies, they tend to omit the bat nipples. But this one does not. This one made sure that it included the bat nipples. They are very prominent. So even the last Batman Forever figure that Mattel made towards the end of their run, which was like 5 or 6 years ago at this point, I think. Yeah. Even when they made their Val Kilmer Batman figure, the nipples are there, but they're kind of more subtle. These are not subtle. This is like you can tell he's fighting Mr. Freeze. We'll put it that way. Let's go back to the articulation. So he does have the rubber trunk piece that the McFarlane figures have, and it does somewhat hinder the leg movement. That's about as far up as I could get his legs to move. And he does have the knee articulation, which, as I noted, at least on my example, is really stiff. But if I coax it, I think I can get it to move. There we go. Never force your action figure joints. If you're having a hard time with it, apply some heat. Use a hairdryer, or if you have to, boiling water. I recommend the hairdryer because then you don't have to worry about it getting wet and having to dry it off. But good range of motion on the knees. But man, they're stiff. So I'm having to gently coax it, get it to move. All right, there we go. And good detailing on the boots. You can see that at the top of the boots, there is the bat emblem that's sculpted in there. And it is indeed a bat emblem. Like, obviously the Robin emblem, which is actually a Nightwing emblem. Obviously, that's supposed to be a bird. And it's on his belt buckle. You can see it there. Obviously, it's supposed to be a bird. We can see it on the logo of the actual movie, where they have it overlaid over the top of the Batman emblem. Holy subtext. but yeah, but the ones on his boots are definitely bats. They've got scalloping to them. So I don't see where the head of the animal is. So like they didn't really bother with that. And but that's a bat on his boots. That's not a bird. So but it's a bird for the most part on the rest of his suit. So then he's got the ankles. Again, the cool kind of ball jointed McFarlane ankles, bend down about that far and bend up about that far, maybe a little farther. No, I think that's about as far as they go. So, and of course, they can swivel whichever way in that direction. So, very posable figure, good articulation. Cape is nice and rubbery, so you can get it to pose along with the figure. Like, it's not really going to hinder with any kind of pose that you could get this figure into. Excellent likeness of Chris O'Donnell. Looks just like him. We can get it to focus there a little bit. So there we go. I'm pretty happy with the accuracy of this figure. I do feel like they did a really good job with matching the look of the character as he appeared in the movie. Let's have a look at these accessories. So he's got these little ice pieces, and these are intended to be placed about the figure. So let's see if we can what we can do with these. Now, infamously, there's a scene in the movie where Robin gets frozen and he's entirely encased in a block of ice. But I guess that would have been a little too complicated for them to accomplish with the full shell around the figure. So instead, we get these pieces that you're supposed to kind of like snap them onto Robin and have him frozen in place. I believe this one seems to be the one that's meant to go on his arm. Although I think I might have it in the wrong spot, because there we go. You probably want it to be like wrapped around where the fins on his gloves are. So this almost looks more like he just kind of tried to block the ice blast and just got his arm frozen. And I think that this part is supposed to snap onto his knee. Like if we were to bend his knee. And it looks like they're supposed to go on the opposite sides. Like this is supposed to go on his left knee, and the other one's supposed to go on his right arm. But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless we twist it around, I guess maybe this way, so that they're both on the same side. But yeah, in the movie, he's running towards Mr. Freeze when he gets frozen. So maybe that's what they're intending you to do. So maybe that's how it's supposed to be, where you kind of have him twisted around almost in like a running position, and he gets frozen like that. So, but even still, I kind of feel like the ice should be pointing in the same direction, like the icicles where he gets blasted. So you might have to kind of do more the lower part of it. Man, these are so stiff. You'd think it was like a 40-year-old Chris O'Donnell of today, or 50-year-old, or however old he is now. His knees are so stiff. But I think that's how that's supposed to work. It is nice that they included these pieces, but I don't think I'm going to get much use out of them. And like I said, they're not really that accurate to the movie because he was supposed to be entirely frozen and not just like his arm and his leg. But it is nice that they acknowledged it and gave you something. Like, it's always good to have extra display options. And even though like I might not think that they're ideal and that they could be done a little bit better, you know, they're still pretty good to have. You know, you can, you know, have an option there. So I'm pretty happy with how this figure turned out. This was the one, honestly, out of all four of the single carded figures, and all five figures in general, including the Build-A-Figure of Mr. Freeze. This was actually the one I was least excited about. Like I'd mentioned with Poison Ivy, she was actually the one I was most excited about for various reasons I go into on that video. But I don't know. I've got Robin figures. I didn't have a McFarlane Poison Ivy, so I was happy to have a McFarlane Poison Ivy. I've got Robin figures that I'm happier with than this design. I think I've got them right here. Yeah. If you remember my video talking about this guy, this is my favorite Robin costume. So I'm really happy to have this one so we have comparison. This is about what Robin looked like in the comics at the time this movie came out, which this is not Dick Grayson, this is Tim Drake. But the costume that Chris O'Donnell wore as Dick Grayson in Batman Forever was based off of this costume, and I thought they did a pretty decent job with it. And then for some reason they decided to have him dressed like Nightwing in his second appearance. So I don't know what was up with that, but you can see the comic book version versus the movie version. Just for fun there. So I'm definitely going to recommend this figure. I'm going to recommend all 4 of the figures in this line. It's if you're a collector of Batman action figures like me, these are some cool and unique figures based on a part of the character's history that, you know, maybe not the brightest spot in the character's history, but I still feel like it's an important era in terms of the character's history. In terms of, not necessarily for what the movie was, but for what came after. And we couldn't be where we are today if not for this one. So I kind of feel like I've talked before many times. Very often I've talked about how I disliked the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. And I honestly felt like that one swung too far in the other direction. Whereas this one was a little too cartoonish, a little too over the top, a little too humorous. And that one was a little too realistic and bland and like just dour. And like there's absolutely none of the swashbuckling aspect of Batman that makes the character enjoyable. And whereas this one swerved too much in one direction, that one swerved too much in the other direction. So I'm kind of hoping we'll get a little more balance next time somebody does a take on Batman. I kind of feel like the Christopher Nolan movies got it right. I kind of feel like even the Zack Snyder movies got it right. I thought Ben Affleck was great as Batman. I loved him. But I honestly feel like out of all the Batman movies, the ones that got the tone right, and there's, you know, the Nolan movies did certain things better, and even, like I said, the Ben Affleck Batman did certain things better. But I think in terms of the tone of Batman, the one that really nailed it was the 1989 Batman movie. And I'd like to see something a little more like that in terms of tone. You know, maybe a little more in terms of like comic book accuracy to the Ben Affleck one, and maybe a little more in terms of like verisimilitude to the Christopher Nolan movies, but a little closer in tone to the Michael Keaton Batman movies. That's what I would like to see, especially the 1989 one. To a lesser extent, Batman Returns, but even that one, I kind of feel like, you know, it didn't quite have the right tone to it like 89 did. It was still a good tone, don't get me wrong. So yeah, I can go back and watch Batman and Robin and enjoy it for what it is. And I kind of rag on it a little bit, you know, do the MST3K thing while you're watching it. That to me is the ideal way to watch that movie. But at least I find it entertaining, which is more than I could say for some other Batman movies. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you want to be cool like my Aunt June and make sure that you catch these on a regular basis, hit the little bell down there. And that'll warn you anytime I go live. I'll give you a really annoying push notification on your phone. And you'll be, oh, God, this guy again. I guess I'll watch this video, whatever. So tomorrow I will be back. Bye, Aunt June. Tomorrow I will be back with Batgirl, the third figure in this wave, and God, what is tomorrow? What is today? It's today Thursday. Yeah, so tomorrow's Friday. I'll be back with that, and I will have Batman himself at some point in the near future. So I'm not sure if I'll do that Saturday or not. Saturday's always a busy day for me. So if I don't do it Saturday, I'll do it Monday. So that's pretty much it for this episode. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.